This is the neighbourhood of Booth, and this is the walk I did around it. It's a cool, brisk morning in Winnipeg today. -11 this morning. We are in spring though, which is nice. I've just dropped my car off at the garage to go in for some repairs and some maintenance. And today we're going to do Booth, or Booth. Oh, you decide. The neighbourhood of Booth. It's actually about 2 kilometres away from here, so I'm gonna take a walk to Booth, find some breakfast, and then plan the rest of my day. Okay, we've made it to Booth, and now I'm coming up on a little mini mall. It's got McDonald's in there, but I've done McDonald's 1,000 times, probably 1,000,000. So instead, I'm going to opt for breakfast at Subway. I don't think I've ever had Subway breakfast before. I can't remember. I've had their coffee, but I'm going to go and try a Subway breakfast.
Giving you all your favorites with no repeats from 6 till 6 every day on Winnipeg's favorites. Peggy at 99.1.
What I have learned about Booth is that this is the neighbourhood where my stag night ended many years ago. So I think I'm going to make this walk a journey to that final destination that I had on my stag night.
Pothole tire damage. Are you covered? Are you covered? You could be with CAA Auto Extension Insurance. Talk to your broker or visit extensioncoverage.com to learn more. CAA Auto for adding value to your home rental. Add color and beauty to your home with a full display of quality 8-area rugs. Tons of vinyl plank.
This grassland has 150 species of grass and wildflowers. It's spring, I guess the end of winter, there's nothing there, it doesn't look even open, but apparently it used to spread from Manitoba to Texas. That's how big it was, and now there's just a tiny little park that is left preserved here in Winnipeg. I'm going to have to come back to that one in summer when everything started to grow and give that a check out, see if it's any good, like the leaf in Assiniboine Park. Alright, well I guess I'm not walking around there, I will move on. I have proposed to my wife, wedding plans are afoot, and now we've got to have a stag night. Well, my mates are all in the UK or Germany, so it fell to my future brother-in-law to plan the stag night. And we started out in King's Head in the Exchange District downtown. He'd gathered a ragtag group of friends, some of whom I wasn't overly familiar with. I think there was sort of a rowdy skinhead type called Forrester. There was a nutcase called Negridge, and I think the smooth criminal called Pike. also came with us. So what is that? 5 of us. We all gathered together to celebrate my stag night. Grace General Hospital. They took care of me once when I broke a bone in my foot. I was helping a friend move house. It's always good to help friends move house because you get beer and pizza. And it was literally the first thing I moved. Picked up, stepped outside and rolled my foot on a doormat. Just rolled it ever so slightly. Heard this crack and immediately swelling in the in my foot. And it made me laugh. I think it was the adrenaline or whatever. I was laughing and I was hopping about and thought it was wildly amusing. Anyway, I'd broken a bone, so they put me in a cast, and I don't know, 6 weeks later I was all mended. So thank you, Grace General Hospital. It always fascinates me when I see smoke billowing out of that chimney behind the hospital. I imagine it's an incinerator and it's burning whatever, I don't know, placentas or amputated limbs or removed spleens or whatever. They just throw this into a big incinerator and burn it around the back of the hospital. I don't know whether that's what that chimney is, but that's what I like to think it is. Well, it turned out after a few beers in the King's Head that, I don't know whether they didn't have jobs or weren't earning much, but they said it was too expensive. The beer was too expensive, all that exotic imported British beer. So they said, let's move on. So the middle pub, or the middle bar, was the A. That's the name of it. I forget what the actual A stands for, but it was the A. And that was halfway between downtown and the last place that we're going to today. Cuthbert Grant's Mill. I always call it Cuthbert's Dibble Grub. When I was a little kid, TV show used to be Camberwick Green, and it had this feature each episode where the fire brigade would be called upon to do something, and they would give a roll call of the fire brigade every single episode, and it went pew pew Barney McGrew Cuthbert Dibble Grub. So every time I see Cuthbert, it immediately makes me think Cuthbert Dibble Grub. So I'm afraid that Cuthbert Grant's Mill is now Cuthbert's Dibble Grub. And the fire brigade never really did anything. They never saved people or went to a burning building. It was always saving a cat from a tree. I'm going to slum it for lunch. Meanwhile, what were they doing in England? Well, my best man created an effigy. He printed a full-size colour picture of my face, built a mannequin and dragged that round in a pub crawl in the Mile, along the Mile in Derby. That dummy pulled more birds that night than I had ever done in my entire life. Anyway, I've been joined by my father-in-law. Cheers. Gotta give me a cheers. Cheers. Now, before I leave this pub, I just want to show Skull and Jim this. Multi-ball! So where did we end up after the A on our stag night? Well, we went to this illustrious establishment. Legends. Now, I haven't been here since before the kids were born, so 20 odd years, and the sign says, I don't know what it was, 34 VLTs, 10 new. I've been driving past that sign and it's always had 10 new VLTs. So let's see how it is these days. So this is Legends. This is the first time I've been here in absolutely decades. So I would have a beer, and the reason my brother-in-law got me so drunk on my stag night was because he insisted on also having a shot. What I have here is Zambuca. So a beer and a shot. I had a few of these and was messed up before 10 p.m. Cheers. Thanks, brother-in-law. Aniseed. Legends, always memorable. Cool. This is the grate where I threw up. Famous grate. So there we go, Legends. Well, again, hospitality was great. It was legendary. But my wife or my son, I'm not quite sure, are going to come and pick me up because I am too worse for wear. So let's try and find them. So this whole walk really is thanks to both my brother-in-law, who barely knew me back then, and also to my best man, who knew me very well. So thank you guys. You know, my stag night was absolutely legendary. There you go, the end.